What's up? I clicked the wrong button. What do you expect? It's me. Hi, hello. It's nice to be back. It was nice to go to Mexico by myself. That was an interesting experience. As you can see, I got no tan. So thank you, effective sunscreen. I guess I should have went with SPF 20 or 30. But whatever. It was nice. It was relaxing, and I needed the break. Yes, you can submit late. Sure. We have, I think, 15 or 16 tracks so far, so send her in, and we'll have a listen. Cool. This is the first time I've been in the studio since I got back, so that's cool. Where's my sombrero? I could not fit it in my suitcase, so I did not purchase one. Sometimes we made music together. Wow. I'd like to have a dream where I just make music, period. That would be nice. Maybe someday soon, who knows. But for now, I'll just listen to what you guys make and give you thoughts on that. And that will be my creative outlet while I'm making electronics for cars. All right, let's have a listen. We're going to start off with Aiden, who sent in a song that I think he's broken the record for largest file size. It's like 260 megabytes. So let's just go ahead and, like, what is this? How do you make like a 3-minute song 260 megabytes? It's 12,000 kilobits per second. I don't even know. What is that, like 192 kilohertz or something? Like what? Anyway, it better sound good because it is very large. Let's make sure I don't have anything on the master bus. I might be a little rusty at listening to things because it's been a while, but we will all get through it together. Okay, here we go. Okay, so everything so far sounds cool, but I don't love the brass hits. I feel like the brass hits are maybe played out at this point just because I've heard them so many times. But we'll keep that in mind and keep going. Okay, I like where this is going. Sorry, I got to turn my phone to silent. I like where this is going, but I got a few thoughts. The first one was the brass. Meh, whatever. I don't care. Maybe if you love it, then keep it. But to me, it's just like dan dan da. That's just like I've used it in more than one song, and I don't think I'll be using it again just because I feel like we've had enough of like the one semitone da da brass thing to do like. I think mankind is okay with the amount of one semitone apart brass hits in trap songs. I think we've hit the quota. No more is needed. Anyway, moving on from that point. There's vocals. I cannot understand a single word. They are super buried. And that's probably because the grindy synth thing is so loud. Like it's drowning out everything. So I can't even tell where the drop starts. Like if that vocal is going to be like a screamo vocal, why not like pull everything else out and let the screamo vocal be the screamo vocal? And then that will give you some separation from the build into the drop. Because right now it's building and then it's just the drop. Like it's almost like a seamless transition from the build into the drop. And that makes the drop not feel like it has much impact or oomph. So maybe drop that synth out, let the screamo thing happen, and then come back in with everything, like the full 100% full throttle. Now in the drop itself, it's just that synth is just overpowering everything. Nothing can survive. The synth is the almighty, and it is the beginning and the end. It is the alpha and the omega, and nothing else exists in this track because it is on top. In fact, if we look at this, if you watch the spectrum analyzer, this is just the shape of that bright, grindy synth, this up here. So you got to bring that way down. It's just so on top of everything. At the very least, the drum should cut through. And it sounds like you probably are side chaining, but I just think if you brought that grindy synth down like, I don't know, 5-6 dB, like a considerable amount, the track will actually sound more powerful because it's not just like a constant grinding. I am the one with the dominance. I think you said I am the one with the dominance. I am the one with the dominance. Yeah, like those grindy synths and the vocals can't really exist at the same time without stepping on each other's toes. I am the one with the dominance. Yeah, I agree with My Little Country House. There's a lot going on. I am the one with the dominoes. He kicks open the door and he has like a thing of like a cardboard box with pizza in it from Domino's. That's what, oh dude, imagine if the delivery guy kicks down the door and he says, "I am the one with the dominoes," and then it's just the dubstep drop. Anyway, I like the vibe of this track. I like the aggressiveness. I like the heaviness. I think it could use a little bit of melodic variance because it's kind of just grinding on the tonic like literally the entire time. Besides like the brass, that's the dun dun thing that's happening. But yeah, I think the big takeaways right now is the grindy synth way too loud. Grindy synth and the vocals cannot exist really at the same time unless you like filtered them down or did something because they kind of exist in the same area in the mix. And the grindy synth is going to win 10 times out of 10. Don't add a distorted chainsaw layer. I am the one with the dominance. Yeah, it kind of just sounds like it's like full aggressive at all cost. It's just like everything at 11 all the time. And I get it. It's the nuance of making this style of music be heavy, but still have clarity and impact and some semblance of dynamics. That's going to be the tricky thing. But the first thing I would do is turn that grindy synth way down. I would chop it out of the spots where you want the vocal thing to cut through because it's not going to work together. And maybe try to replace those brass hits with something more creative or unique that achieves the same purpose. You know, maybe it still does dun dun and it sounds kind of like a brass, or you know, it's in that same world, but it's not just brass. But that's kind of a personal preference. I just don't really. I'm just over hearing brass hits doing dun dun in trap and dubstep. Besides that, it's a cool song, cool heavy, cool heavy, cool. But do you see what I mean? No matter where I click in the song, we're hearing the same note the entire time. And kind of the same intensity too. So yeah, I mean, like I think you got some good stuff to work with here, but I think you're gonna have to go back and kind of carve it into more of a song and less of just a 100% aggression the entire track. And that's what I think. Thank you for sending. Let's check out Cat Attack. Rebecca with 1C. Interesting. What is this? This looks like Knock. Let's have a listen. Is that Crispy Boy? Which sound is it? I think it's Crispy Boy. Oh god, it's been so long. Crispy E. Dude, how did I know that? That's fucking hilarious. Anyway, this is an interesting track. I do. Let's normalize it. Sure, why not? I just feel like it's just missing sub. Is it the note? What note is it? Is that what it is? Is it like a stupid note? C sharp? No, you should be able to. Yeah, like I feel like it's dirty and it's crunchy. I don't have mini meters, no. It's dirty and crunchy, and you've got that going for you, but I feel like it just needs that in the bottom end to really like fill it out, because everything else is there. It just needs. Yeah, it kind of sounds like the fundamental is missing out of the bass. And then besides that, it's almost like a concept similar to your other stuff. I like this direction. I like this, like your take on this style of music. But yeah, that's my only real note, is that it just feels like it's missing the fundamental in the sub range. So maybe do something about that. I have no idea. I love that you use this. I don't understand this part. Not planning to take this anywhere. Well, dude, throw a sub on there and then do some cool car edits, and then you're off to the races. It's neat. I like it. Moving on. Let's check out Cloudy Parallels and Alida and Josh Rubin, Prisoner.
You're my biggest addiction. Feels like something is missing. Don't know how I felt so low. You have a way with words. You know how to make it hurt. Tell me how to let you go. Bad intentions, misconceptions, messing with my head.
So I feel like for an intro, this is just going too hard. It's pushed too hard. We're right up. We are full throttle at this point. And it's not really doing anything for the track. Like, why do we need to be this intense at this point? We're not at the drop yet, and I can't really, the vocals are now getting stepped all over because.
Misconceptions messing with my head.
And then you also, another thing that kind of catches me off is you've got like this chord progression moving around, but you got like your Reese bass just sitting on the tonic the entire time. And I don't think it really works that well. I think that I think that personally, I would chill everything out until we get to some sort of build-up that's leading to a drop. At this point, I feel like we are probably starting to move towards the drop. Maybe this is the drop, I'm not sure. But I just know that it sounds like it's going too, everything is just going too hard at this point. The vocals should really be leading and picking the pace of the song. Anyway, let's keep going.
You betrayed me just to blame me for letting you in. Walk away, save me from the mess you.
Again, like sitting on the tonic with that bass, it just makes it feels like it's dragging on for very long because we just kind of had that same note the whole time. So maybe what you could do is have the bass line follow the chord progression. And then when you're getting really close to the drop, maybe stick to the tonic, to build some tension, because now we're not moving through this chord progression anymore. We're just sitting.
Walk away, save me from the mess you made. Walk away, save me from what I became, a prisoner. Bring it.
So again, when you think about this fact, it's a minute and a half in, and all we've heard was one note in the bass anyway. I mean, you've got chords that move around and stuff, but like in terms of if we just solo like the very bottom end, go like this. So that was all the same note, right? That kind of reinforces the my thought of maybe we should have the chord progression being reflected in the bass line as opposed to just building on that same note. When it drops, it is like very where's the drop again? It's a bit messy. Like it's a bit overbearingly messy. I think that I'm not quite sure what you're doing for the laser zaps, but it's just so they done brush their waveform. it just kind of sounds a bit too wall of white noise. it's almost like this to the mix, you know, like it's just, I don't hear like there's 16th notes going, but I don't necessarily hear that or feel that. I just can kind of tell that they're there. You know what I mean? Like because if you look at the waveform, it's very hard to see any sort of, well, this is just 100% pixelate, like pixels. Like this is 100% sound and noise. And I think it's just I don't even really know where to start with advice on this drop, because it's just, the idea of it is good. The execution is just almost too, you're throwing too much all at the wall at once. And there's no real discernible phrasing happening. It's just kind of 16th note lasers the entire time. There's no like, well, bap, or, you know, like there's no phrasing. It's just kind of constant 16th note laser attack. And that combined with the wall of sound thing, I could see you do it for like maybe like that fake out, like the 4 to the floor fake out, maybe have it like full laser, but then like drop into some sort of phrasing that has a bit more information, or a bit more, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to explain this very well. I'm not doing a good job, but it just doesn't really have much of an identity to it. It's just kind of like laser attack.
We're running in circles. Now you're
and again, we're back to the tonic.
Now you're just a stranger in my bed, a whole different person. I won't let you lie to me again. When the wheels,
which is, it pisses me off because the chords are good. I like the chords, and I think they'd sound great with the vocals and the melody, but the bass line is just anchoring it in this one tonic tension, which doesn't really get released at any point because we're just constantly at the tonic. You know, if we moved around in the chords, then that would give us a break from the tonic, and maybe we would want the tonic, and then you would give us the tonic, and then, okay, there's the tonic. Hello, I want the tonic. Anyway, I'm beating off a dead horse, so.
wheels fall off, and you're holding on just to make me fall. You know that it's wrong underneath it all. I think you like to hurt me. Sometimes I wonder who you think you are. Why'd you have to keep me in the dark, knowing that it's tearing me apart? You could never.
I also think that you're hitting your master pretty hard. I mean, like, it's almost anytime there's drums, we are just absolutely cooking. We're cooking it on the dynamics.
Walk away, save me from the mess you made. Walk away, save me from what I became, a prisoner.
Yeah, I think it's just overbearing. Aiden, no, I don't think that's going to do anything. I think you need to turn it down a lot. Yeah, I hope that my incohesive thoughts were helpful in some way, because I think that there's some cool stuff in here. It just seems like this is, again, like aggressive for the sake of being aggressive, and it's not serving the song. Because at the end of the day, it should still be a song, you know? This just kind of sounds like you are trying to be as loud and powerful and aggressive as possible when it doesn't really serve the song to do that. I think it would be more interesting to chill out a little bit, you know, maybe not go for such extreme volumes, and explore the song behind the production as opposed to just focusing on the production. Okay, that's what I have to say. Thank you. Let's move on to Drop Pop. Hands in the air. Oh, we heard this 2 weeks ago, didn't we?
Put your foot in your mouth.
Put your foot in your mouth?
Put your foot in your mouth.
Okay. My first thought was that, and I don't know if this is an issue, and I might actually like it. I'm not quite sure, but the sample, the put your hands in the air sample is like a little bit too fast. Like when he says air, it's like a little early timing wise. So it kind of sounds like a cut up sample. So that's why I'm not that upset with it, but I also wonder if it would just be better if it was on time. Put your hands in the air, instead of put your hands in the air. It's I don't know, that probably didn't come across, but if you listen to it, it's just it feels a little rough.
Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Hands in the air.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just a little rushed. I think it could be slowed down a little bit, and it would, because typically with timing, you can get away with being late, but you can never really get away with early. The intro vocal, which one? Put your feet in your mouth?
Put your foot in your mouth.
I kind of feel like you should, before you drop, you should use this.
Put your foot in your mouth.
I think that'd be fucking hilarious. Yeah, I think, wait, well, we could just do it. Hold on.
Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the
I don't know if this is where it should go, I think. Let's try it.
Put your foot in your mouth.
Dude, I think that's the fucking way. I think this should be the I think this should be the main
Put your foot in your mouth.
Yeah, it's the way. It's gotta be the way. Okay, so this I appreciate what you're going for. I don't think the execution is quite there because it just doesn't hit it's a bit of a letdown. Now, the second time you did it, I love the tiki 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 tiki, the high frequency thing. I think that maybe should be in the first drop too. Maybe not exactly the same or something, but it's just a bit too chill. You know what I mean? Like especially considering how hype it was building up. And I'm pretty sure that I probably gave you the advice, and I might have used Girthquake as an example or something. I think in this situation, it's just a little too subdued. It feels like a breakdown or something to me. So maybe amping it up a little bit more, or bringing in that chiki 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 thing that's in the. It could also be the way you're building.
Put your foot in your mouth. 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 Put your foot in your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, like, it. I understand, and I think that you could maybe make this work. It's just a little too subdued. It doesn't have enough energy to really make me want to fucking lose my mind when it happens. So it's a bit of a letdown in that situation. But like I said, the second time around, the tiki tiki, especially if maybe you tease the tiki tiki in the build up a little bit or something, that could help a lot.
Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air.
I also wonder if, like, you know, it does the same it does that the whole time, except right before the drop it's it goes up and it pitches up. I wonder if there's maybe like a second thing that you could do to break it up a little bit, maybe in the breakdown or something. It doesn't necessarily need a chord progression, but just something to get us away from the like I feel like we have that rhythm the whole time. Like you have this, but it still has that dan 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 dan. It still has that same vibe to it because the bass is still playing those same notes.
Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air.
So I'm trying to find ways to kind of break it up a little bit and get out of the. I feel like it might get a little monotonous to constantly be playing da 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 da.
Put your hands in the air. Hands in the air.
Put your foot in your mouth. 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 Mouth, 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 mouth. Put your foot in your mouth.
Anyway, I think you definitely need to change the main focus of the track to put your foot in your mouth, because now it's kind of making fun of. It's like more self-aware. It's got more of an identity. It's kind of cheeky. For me, I would prefer to have that as the main focus of the vocal, especially because it's like it's just so not what you would expect, you know, especially if you're like, you're building it up with put your hands in the air, but then instead of that as the drop.
Put your foot in your mouth.
Anyway, I dig the track. I think it's hilarious to put your foot in your mouth. I don't know. I don't think I've ever tried to put my foot in my mouth because I don't think I would want to put my foot in my mouth. But regardless, I think it's a funny idea, and it's such a counter. Like everybody says, put your hands in the air, but who the fuck says put your foot in your mouth? Anyway, that's what I think. Thanks for sending, dude. Good job. I think this is just a duplicate. Let's do that. All right, Tesseracts. We haven't had a Tesseract submission in a while. 2 turntables in the mic. Holy fuck. Okay, here we go. But Kadia, maybe that's the reason to submit something.
2 turntables in the mic. Turntables in the mic.
Wow, that was fun. Okay, I got two thoughts. The first thought is in the intro, I can't really understand the notes that well. Like I kind of can now that I've heard the song, so I understand what the melody is. But when I first heard this part building up, it's so sub heavy that the notes don't really come through that well. Like it's just feels very like deep bass notes happening. And I know that there's like there are other instruments. It sounds kind of like it's supposed to be chuggy guitar. I can't tell if it's a guitar or a synth, but whatever. There's other instruments besides the sub bass, but they just aren't that clear. Like the don 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 don. Like the notes don't quite cut through in the intro. And then the other note is that the snare. I like the character of the snare. I like the sound of the snare, but it does not have the punch that I think it should have. Like I actually really like the sound of the snare, but it just doesn't. It sounds high pass. Like it doesn't have like a. Let's go for the classic. I haven't heard it in a while, so. Maybe even like. Let's try that. Yeah, that you could use the second, but I kind of felt like I like that snare a lot too, but I felt like it didn't quite have the punch that it needed either. Am I gonna just go ahead and guess that it's 174? That's too low. Yeah, it's like I don't necessarily love the sound of this snare, but I'm trying to get something that has like it has like some impact to it, and this doesn't have that. It's just all pure kind of character. Why am I in this fucking folder? Yeah, even this one, like. And keep in mind, I'm not mixing it in or anything. I'm just adding it to it. But like, let's do it this way. Let's have these. We'll have this snare and then listen to it when it's gone. Nick really hates the blah, 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 blah. I'm Raham. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't like when snares, I like the sound of the snare. I've already said that. I just don't like that it doesn't have any sort of chest interaction. I want the snare to hit me in the chest. Oh, sorry. I'm Raham. I'm British. Isn't it Tuesday? But yeah, maybe just like bringing this snare over. This part's badass. Use that snare I sent you that one time. Yeah, I definitely know exactly where that is. Anyway, those are my only two real gripes. Is that in the intro I couldn't totally understand. It took me a couple tries to understand what the riff was. You know, like it wasn't super obvious what the riff was until I listened to it a few times. And then I just think the snare should have chest interaction. There's no chest interaction. Interact with my chest, baby. All right, those are my thoughts. It's a sick track as always. Thank you for sending. All right, next up we got Tact. We on crack. We on crack. We out here on crack. Well, I'll definitely give you full points on naming the song appropriately. I have no idea what to tell you. This. I mean, like, I enjoyed listening to it. I don't have any thoughts on, I don't know what this is or where it should go. But I appreciate the titling being correct and accurate and a good representation of what's in store if you were to press play on this song. I'm sorry, I have no thoughts. Like the production, as silly as it is like, it's pretty good. The snare hits me in the chest, so good job on that at least. That's my honest reactor. Okay, sorry, I don't know what to say about that one. We're moving on. We got Swiss Cheese with what looks to be a 30-second intro of not much. Let's have a listen. I think your internet is trash because I've been watching my little meter and it hasn't dropped below green. So maybe you should go to fucking speedtest.com and test your own goddamn internet before you start throwing shade on mine, which honestly is normally pretty shit, but not right now. Anyway, okay, so this song I like where this is going. It took a while to get into it. I don't like how the vocals are panned super weirdly and chorously. I feel like they should just be in the middle. And I love hockey and maple syrup and the snow. A boot. It's only people from like Alberta that say a boot. You could make fun of me for saying car or bar or bagel, but I don't think a boot is really hitting the spot. Anyway, do I keep up with the IIHF worlds at all? I don't even know what the fuck that is. So no, bagel. Bagel with cream cheese, bagel, toasted bagel, everything bagel with cream cheese, regular cream cheese, not light cream cheese, regular cream cheese, bagel. Anyway, Swiss cheese. Speaking of cheese, Swiss cheese song. We listened to Swiss cheese song, When the Sun Sets. Chill It Mix version 5 was made on the 17th of May, 2022. It's 2024. What the fuck? I just said a lot of words and I don't even know what the hell I'm saying. Okay, back focus, Nick. Jesus. Okay, the vocals. I like the vocals. They're insecurely mixed, meaning they are buried in the mix. They need to be up in the mix. They need to be in the center. They can't. The chorusy width thing is weird and it doesn't make sense to me. The drums are not great. The drums sound like kind of like garage band drums or something. They just kind of sound like an acoustic drum kit preset that's being played by somebody who isn't a drummer, if that makes sense. I love the chord progression. I love the melody. I wish I could understand the vocals better. I wish the vocals were in the mix harder, louder, in the middler. Because, like, I have no idea what the vocals are saying the entire time. I think I might have understood a word back here. There's no escape. I think I understood that. But anyway, the thing with the drums, in order for that style of drums to really work on a track like this, they have to either be just like straight up played by a real drummer or done much more convincingly. I would almost maybe try keep, unless you love the acoustic drum thing, I'd try to keep it electronic. Like maybe have some more cool like electronic percussion and lean into the non-organicness of the percussion as opposed to trying to pass this off as like an actual drummer. It's not convincing enough to work in the context of this song. It's not like horrible, but it just sounds like very generic drum loop put on top of the track, and it loses some authenticity because of that. And I think that like the chords, the vocals, everything feels authentic to me, but then you've got like this drum loop thing that just doesn't seem, and it might not be a loop, it might be like Addictive Drummer or something, but whatever it is, it does not sound like a real person playing drums on top of this song. So I would maybe experiment with just some more electronic-y sounds. Doesn't have to be a house track. It could have like more of like a broken style beat, some cool, interesting textures, and lean into that area. But yeah, the vocals need to come way up. They need to be anchored in the center. They can be wide, but they need to be anchored in the center because it just, to me, when the vocals aren't right down the center, unless it's like for a specific reason and a specific part of the song or something, that's fine. But just generally over the whole, like applied to the whole song when vocals are wide, it just seems weird to me because stuff on the outside feel like accompanying instruments, you know what I mean? And the stuff in the middle seems like the focus. It's in the middle. I'm looking straight at it. But if there's like vocals that sound like they're coming at me from either side, it just doesn't feel like a main focal element of the track. And I think it should be because it's vocals and you're saying words and the words are important, I'm assuming. And also this intro, just, I don't know. I feel like you could just like, you wouldn't really lose anything if you just like, you know. I just don't see the point of super long, swoopy intros like that. I think that nobody is really going to listen to it. If it was in the context of a bigger picture, maybe an album that all runs into each other and you've got like an ambient thing at the end of one song that then slowly builds in, maybe that makes sense. But on a standalone track like this, I think you just kind of get into it. I think the long intro like that just doesn't do anything for me. Just go over my. That's what I'm struggling. Okay. Well, it probably doesn't suck as much as you think it does. When you make stuff. I mean, I make stuff. I think it sucks all the time, and it doesn't. And I know that, but I still think that it does, which is weird. You're like, I know this doesn't suck, but I still think it sucks, and I don't know how to make that make sense in my head. Aw, thanks, Basic Beats. Really appreciate your what's the word? Compliment. Wow, that's how often I get complimented. Okay, here we go. Oxidize, capsize. Oh, it rhymes. That's pretty cool. Thank you. This is cool. This is like riding the line of being too abrasive, which for my tastes, there have been a few oxidized tracks that have come through that were too abrasive for me, you know? I kind of cut it off at like 200 grit, you know? And below 200 grit is just I just can't do it. But this one's more like 600 grit, you know? This has got a bit of a smoothness to it. I wonder what it would sound like if the kick was a little bit more present. I know that it's not like supposed to be like a drum and bass track where the kick is like cutting through or whatever, but I wonder, that's the only thing that I can really think of for this is I just wonder if the kick had a bit more, just a little bit more. Very haunting. Very haunting. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say about this one. I think, I don't know. I just think it might be cool if the kick just had a little, because like the beat is kind of vague, you know, it's like the aim and break being cut up and glitched out and stuff. And I just wonder if there's still a little bit more clarity to the structure by just having do do do, you know, having a little bit more chest interaction. I don't know why I've coined this term all of a sudden, but that's what I have to say. Thank you, Oxidize, for the 60 or the 600 grit. That's very nice. All right, what do we got next? Nakai ID. Hold on.
Put your foot in your mouth.
Sorry, I will listen to the song. I didn't realize that was okay.
Put your foot in your mouth. Put your foot in your mouth. Put your foot in your mouth.
Yeah, this is dope. Yeah, I'm sorry for fucking with it for the sake of the lulls, but this is really cool. I mean, like, there's not a song here, and you obviously know that. This is like a kind of a proof of concept drop. My only concern is that the sub feels a bit overbearing. Like, look at your sub is at 0 dB somehow, and then the rest of the song is just like along for the ride. Yeah, I mean, I pulled 7 decibels out of the sub range, and it doesn't necessarily sound bad. I'm not saying to pull 7 dB out, maybe 3 or 4, but I do think that the sub is just a little, it's a little too loud, and it makes the rest of the song kind of feel not as important as the sub range. So maybe, oopsies. That's pretty much, besides, I mean, obviously writing a song around the drop. It's a cool drop, cool sounds, cool vibe, cool beat. Everything is cool, but there's no song here yet. I like this part. Again, the sub is really loud, but I like how you've got a bit of a chord progression happening here. You could you could embellish this melodically, harmonically, create some almost nice, soothing stuff before you build us up and drop into some disgusting drum step. I don't know what to call this. Maybe dubstep. I don't know genres. But yeah, I think besides the sub being just a bit too loud, I think you just got to write the song now. So have fun with that. All right, moving on. Where are we? Chord. And yes, I know I've got some songs to download. I'll go grab them in a sec. All right, Chord, back to work. Yeah, okay, so this is cool. I agree with King Cobra. It doesn't feel like it's necessarily going, it lingers. I would say this lingers too long. So, like, this section here, you did bring in something new eventually. Oh no, not really. So we've got like a section of about a minute where there's no real development. There's no real, we don't feel like we've started somewhere and we went somewhere. It just kind of felt like we got somewhere and we stayed there for a minute. So although I like all the weird and wonky kind of Gran Turismo 1 choose your car, but also maybe weird indie game music. I like that. It's interesting, it's unique, and it's fun to listen to. But it's each section is kind of lingering in a way that doesn't give us the impression that we were moving towards something. It just kind of feels like we got somewhere and we stayed there. So I think what you need to do is probably, maybe, oh fuck, sorry, it's been a while. There we go. Something like this, and then have some elements that are building up and stuff. Even just some, I'm not saying that some swoopy effects is going to save this, but they're going to help. More than anything, I think it's going to be introducing new elements, taking out certain elements, dropping the beat out, emphasizing certain little parts of the riff. Maybe at the end of every other bar, the drums kind of stop and there's a little thing that happens and the drums come back in. Just stuff that breaks the track up from just sounding like a loop that's playing over and over again. I think that's the main thing you should focus on with this, because I remember like even just a couple months ago, you sent in wonky stuff like this, but this is miles above it in quality. But now you need to figure out how to take the better sounding stuff and now shape it into a song or something that feels like you start somewhere and you go somewhere, and it's okay to linger a little bit. If it's a cool groove and you want to get into the groove, that's fine. You can linger, but there is a limit to the linger. You can't linger for a full minute without changing anything. I feel like then it becomes very background looping, elevator music, etc. There has to be some sort of story, a plot developments. We need plot developments, I feel like here we have kind of like 3 plot developments. We have... This is kind of the first plot development, and then we have another plot development here. Then there's kind of no plot developments. And I'm sure this isn't, I'm sure from here to here, that there's probably some things changing. I'm not saying this is straight up copied and pasted the entire time, but it feels copied and pasted the entire time. So it kind of doesn't matter if, you're like, oh, but I added like an extra hit on the cowbell, or there's like the bass does something slightly different. Like, sure, I'm not saying it's straight up copied and pasted, but the impression that the listener gets is that it is straight up copied and pasted. So I hope that helps. I think you need to just work on song structure and keeping our attention without overloading us with new elements. That's always the trick, is to introduce stuff at the right pace, not too fast, not too slow. Yeah, okay, that's what I think. Thanks for sending. All right, King Cobra and Oxidize. Jesus, what is this? Looks like a hieroglyph or something. Okay, let's have a listen. Let me make sure I'm not doing stuff and things, because you know how that goes. Okay.
King Cobra War.
Wow, what a journey. I still, to me, I still love. That's still my favorite part. I think it's because the kick has bottom end. But I understand. I understand that this is the way that this goes. I will say that for how far out this is, it's quite listenable, which I think is saying a lot. I don't really have any notes for you, though. I think that maybe Sawyer would be able to give you better notes than me, because this is not my ballpark, not my wheelhouse, not my wheel park or my ball house. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed listening to it, and I especially enjoyed. That's sick. Okay, cool. Let's move on. K Meyer Without You, but it's the letter U, not the word U. Here we go.
Let me hear your voice when I'm feeling down. I can't see the world without you now. Hope you're doing better and you're happier. Wonder, do you dream about me now? Let me hear your voice when I'm feeling down. I can't see the world without you now. Hope you're doing better and you're happier. Wonder, do you ever
A slab of butter. Sorry, a slab of butter. Okay. I really like this.
your voice when I feel
I think that the vocal, I feel like the vocal shouldn't drop with the drums, you know? I feel when it drops with the drums, it's almost like overload. Like, okay, now we're in the drop. There's drums, there's bass, the vocals. I feel like the vocals, like, could they not?
when I'm feeling
I don't know. I feel like we don't need to drop in with the beat at 13 seconds into the song. I think, where could you break it up?
do you dream about me now?
I'm not quite sure how to arrange this necessarily, but oh wow. What was your last solo track? I have plenty in the vault ready to go. We got some serious beef happening. I kind of just like, I think the vocals are great. I think like even just a pad and the vocals building up and then drop. Like maybe can you shorten the, I don't know the structure of the vocals, but like maybe cut the vocals up, have this part from here.
When I feel better and you're happier, wonder do you dream about me now?
So like, what would it sound like if all the way from here to there was like a subdued, it starts off with just maybe some chords and the vocals, and then it turns into a build, and then you drop with something like that. I think that, I don't know, I think that's maybe worth a try, because to me, with you, when you drop all of a sudden, like, first of all, I didn't know there was going to be vocals in the track, right? And nobody would unless they had heard it before. So you're like, oh, this is a vocal track, but we're already in like the beat. We're already kind of in like the drop section or the main section of the song, right? So I just kind of feel like introducing the vocals and letting them really shine through, not impeded by drums, not impeded by big synths or bass or anything, just like a nice, like something that could be played almost on a piano and singing, and then build it up and then hit us with the drop with maybe the lead sound, and then kind of arrange the song a bit more around that. I don't know. It's not necessarily the right way of doing it. I don't even know what the right way means, but I think personally I would prefer that, because I kind of want to get to know the vocals a little bit. I want to hear the words. I want to get used to the phrasing and the melodies, and kind of, okay, like digest it and then build me up, and now deliver a drop which has a bit more context, because I was able to get to know the vocals a bit more before the drop happens. So, and then so if you went that route, then you would have, yeah, that would make sense, because now you have a drop that's, about this long.
Let me hear your voice when I'm feeling down.
And then maybe you can have the drum beat here. Maybe you could break it down a little bit more before you come back in with the drums. But the important thing is you have introduced us to the vocals and given us a chance to get to know them before you get too deep into the song, right?
Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me.
Also, this "Don't Leave Me" part, that feels like the chorus to me, like the hook of the chorus. So to me, the arrangement's kind of out of whack, because like this feels like the hook of the song. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe this goes here instead. I don't know what tempo it is. So to me, I would structure it more like, how could I do this? So I'd have like intro, then I'd have vocal / build. Then I'd have instrumental drop, which is the thing with your cool lead. Then I'd maybe have the hook. If I could fucking type. I'm gonna put that as one. Why am I doing this? Yeah, I don't know. Instrumental drop, the hook, then I'd maybe have let me get spaced out properly here. Then maybe like breakdown, vocal verse, build. Whoops, man, I can't type. build back into the instrumental drop. We're gonna call that the ender, and then the hook, and then maybe out. Like that to me would make more sense in terms of the arrangement. Sorry, I'm running out of room here, so I guess we're just gonna have to do this, and then I'll do this. Just so you know. That goes there. And that's a dick. Okay. That's my suggestion. I think you have, there are some mixed things. There's a kind of a certain frequency in her voice that's kind of a little bit bothering me, and it's similar to the frequency of like the triangle sound. It's somewhere here. I'm actually the CEO of 2 companies, Raham, and I'll take that as a compliment. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I think for the most part, this is a great tune. You have a lot of great elements. I just think that they're not being arranged in the most strategic and effective way. And maybe listen to some songs and take some cues on the structure based on some songs that you really love or something. But to me, the arrangement is the main weak point on this track. All right, let us move on. CAD, Steep ID. Here we go. Okay, this is dope. There's a lot of great stuff happening here. The one thing I would say you should try working on is it doesn't have a discernible hook or melody, or it's got chords and production. This is basically really cool chords, really cool production, very avant-garde, cool, almost IDM-ish. There's a lot of great stuff happening here, but it's lacking that like memorable item. It's lacking a melody. It's lacking a hook. It doesn't need to have a big full-on synth lead melody or anything like that. But to me, you have chords and production. You have chords and drums and cool sounds, right? But I could never explain this track to somebody, and that's the litmus test that I always apply to music, because at the end of the day, yes, cool production and cool sound selection and sound design, all of that is very important, and it's somewhere that you can put your creativity. But at the end of the day, I feel like having a hook or something that gives the track context, or something that, if you boiled the track down to its pure essence and got rid of all the sound design, there would still be something there for me to remember the song by, besides all of the crazy production and whatnot, right? At the end of the day. Anyway, that's my thought. I think it sounds dope. I think the production is sick. But at the end of the day, there needs to be a song underneath of this. And I'm not saying there's no song here. I'm just saying that it could just be like, at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be too complicated. At the end of the day, we just want something memorable. So even just like a blink, 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 like a little blinky, blinky thing. Anyway, yeah, it's a good foundation. At the end of the day, I think you just need to add, sorry, I'm trying to say it as much as possible. Yeah, something memorable, a hook, something so that I can be like, dude, have you heard the song that goes blink, 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 wow, 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 and I can explain it with my mouth. Cool. All right, let's move on. We got Johnny Gamble, Synthwave Whip. That's sick. I think that at some point the bass should walk around with the chord progression. I feel like the bass is just doing the tonic the whole time. I just feel like, sorry, I'm yawning. It's not because I'm bored. It's just because I don't sleep very well. Okay, I think this sums up how I feel about this song. It feels like we are constantly moving towards something that we never get to. And I think it's well, first of all, this is clearly an intro and a build. So okay, we're building towards something. Then we drop to which is very minimalistic. It feels like we're still kind of like we're like marching our way towards something, right? Okay, now we're still marching, but now we got the arpeggio building. We're still marching. We're marching, but now there's asteroids landing around us or something. And I saw your message that you tried it and it didn't sound good. Well, the thing is that if you just stick to the tonic the whole time, that builds tension, especially when your other elements are walking around and playing chords and doing some Beethoven harpsichording and stuff. Having that pedal tone on the dum 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 dum, it just feels like this whole track feels like tension building, and I didn't feel any sort of release at any point because we just kind of kept stomping on that same note. And yeah, like the drums change, you add elements, you take out elements. There is some form of movement and evolution in the track, but I think the stomping tonic is just, no matter what you do, it's always going to drive us into tension. It's always going to build tension. I'm not sure exactly what to suggest you do, but this whole track almost feels like the intro to an album, or it almost feels like the intro to something. The whole track feels like an intro because we're just constantly marching towards something, and we'd never quite get there. It's a tough one because I know you move the tonic around, or you move the bass line around to follow the chord progression, but the rest of the track still was probably only evolving a little bit. So maybe that's why it feels weird. Maybe it needs to have like a full-on build-up and a full-on drop, or maybe this track is just full tension and it's part of something bigger. But all I know is that when I listened to it, I felt like I was always waiting for the thing to happen, but I didn't feel like the thing happened. So I can speculate and say that, I think it's because you're stomping on the tonic the entire time or whatever. But for whatever reason, when I listen to this, I like it. It sounds cool. It sounds good. It might be a little over compressed in the master or something, but like none of that stuff really matters, because the biggest thing is I just kind of felt like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. But it never dropped. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Thank you for sending. Very cool. Blah, 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 blah. All right, we got Grim Push V2 Heavy Rhythm. You dirty tonic stomper. Okay, so I think right here, when you drop, that the choir thing, I would maybe hold off until halfway through the drop and bring that in. I think maybe, and I don't know, maybe it sounds empty without it, but maybe it could have something else, or maybe it doesn't really need anything there besides the chunk, the chunkings. Because I think going back to the tonic, I think I've said tonic more times today than I've said in my entire life combined. Oops. But I think that the bass is rattling around on the tonic, but you've got these like choir things moving around, and that almost sounds like something that's getting me ready for a breakdown. So to have it right on the top of the drop, I don't know. I think lean more into just the heavy bass, and then bring that stuff in as a pickup or as some sort of evolution moving towards a breakdown or something. But I'd be interested to see what it sounds like without the choir hits, like the choir hits underneath the drum. This section is just kind of a mess. Like, we still have the choir, we still have the chunks, and now we have like a greasy drill bass sound. It's too much, and I don't understand what the point of it is. It kind of sounds like maybe it's like, oh, I can go heavier, and then you just like add more heavy sounds, but I don't think it's really doing. I think you have to be a bit more strategic with where you use each sound. Because just having like this sustained, greasy, distorted bass line, but then having chug, weird rhythm, chunk, and then also having the choir, it's just like, it's too much stuff. It doesn't feel like it's a cohesive riff or a cohesive phrase. It just kind of sounds like here's some stuff on top of each other. So maybe if it was chunk, like chunk, and then the and then the chunk, and then the but they play off of each other in some sort of column response, or they create a bigger phrase when you put them together in a certain way. Right now, they just kind of feel like they are on top of each other. Not really. They don't feel like they're aware of each other, I guess is a good way to put it. Like, your sounds don't necessarily, especially in this section, they don't necessarily sound like they're aware that the other sounds are in the track. They're just like doing their own thing, and the other sounds are doing their own thing, and then that's the track. So I think maybe it's a good practice to make sure that if each, I guess, like, I'm picturing in my head each of the sounds in like a complextro drop or like a dubstep drop, they're all like dancers on stage, and they have to be choreographed together so that they create something bigger than each. They can't all just be doing crazy dances on stage. Like, that's not entertaining. They have to interact with each other and make room for one person to do a thing, and then that person moves out of the way and somebody else jumps in, and while they're doing that, the outside dancers are maybe like like they have to work together, and I don't think the elements are working together that great, especially in this section. So again, the same thing applies to this drop. The choir thing is like barely audible, so it's really just adding like a noise floor. Wow, fucking words. It's just adding a noise floor to the whole thing. And again, here you've got dum 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 dum, just like eighth note. Dum, 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 dum. But then the chug is going chug 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 chug, like it's like kind of off time, and those two things are just they just seem painfully unaware of each other. I feel like those choir things should maybe just stay in the breakdowns. But that's kind of my thoughts on the production side of this. Overall, I think the arrangement is it just kind of feels like you have a lot of cool ideas that are here. And they don't really feel like the vocal came in halfway through the song. I don't think the vocal was in the first one. Yeah, it just sounds like some cool parts put together, but it doesn't necessarily tie me in. You know, I feel like I'm listening to each individual section. I don't feel like I'm listening to a full song. So I think what you have to do is go through and try to learn, what is this song? What is the identity of this track? Is it the vocals? Is it some melody that doesn't exist yet? Is it just straight up the drop? And how do you get to the drop? How do you create some context for that drop to live in? But to me, it almost sounds like you are writing the track, and like this is how you're writing it. Like you are unaware of what's like coming next. You know what I mean? This is what I'm picturing. You're writing it like this. And now you have all of this stuff. And now maybe what you should do is go and say, okay, well, this jigga 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 thing, maybe that should be back at the start along with the vocals. The vocals will build up to the drop. Now when I break down, I don't have to have this anymore. You know, you kind of use all of your sections as like a toolkit and build a song out of it and create a cohesive start to finish package. I don't mean to shit on this track. I mean, it's a heavy rhythm track, which is what you're going for. I think that with some minor adjustments, the drops are going to be good. But then again, it comes back to like, what is the song here? Is the song all about the drops? It can't really be. I mean, the drop is most of the time the most important part of this style of music, but there still has to be somewhat of a story, you know? It's one thing if you're just going to mix this in a DJ set from one drop to another drop to another drop, but I mean, you usually include breakdowns every once in a while, right? And that gives the song context, and then it's more of a story behind it. But anyway, those are my thoughts. All right, let's move on. We got a Sawyer. Is that Sawyer?
We don't get along. We don't get along. We don't get along. Hey, Sawyer. We don't get along. We don't get along. We don't get along. We don't get along. Looking in the mirror with these words on my tongue, I've come to this conclusion. We don't get along. Saving myself from myself is a job. Someone's gotta do it. Move along. I'm not fucked up, but it's all my fault. I want to do it. Vision is strong. Now I'm alive in the cold. Let my story be told. Let my story be told. Pain in my cardiac. That's just the pain in my brain. Living in the shadows. You know where to find me at. Place where they don't dare speak good things. Make up session. Oh, I got another makeup session. Cocaine. I kiss her. She kissed me this week. I got live with you since 2016. Looking in the mirror with these words on my tongue, I've come to this conclusion. We don't get along. Saving myself from myself is a job. Someone's gotta do it. Move along. I'm fucked up, but it's all my fault. I want to do it. Vision is strong. Now I'm alive within the cold. Let my story be told.
Okay, so this is really cool. It's probably my favorite Sawyer track so far. I think dropping the vocals out, at least for part of the drop, like, or like cutting it up and only using a little bit. The fact that the vocals just kind of go and the track kind of goes, I think it goes back to what I was saying before, where it's like the two elements aren't really aware of each other. Like it dropped, but the vocals are just kind of chugging along at their own pace. Like they're almost unaware that the song has changed drastically to have like, you know, so maybe either just drop the vocals out entirely for this first little section, or maybe just use a little bit at the end of each phrase, or, you know, use them sparingly instead of having the vocals just chugging along the whole time.
Matches the pain in my brain, living in the shadows. You know where to find me at. Place where they don't dare speak good thing. Make-out session, oh, am I late? Another make-out session, codeine. I kiss her, she kissed me to sleep. And I lay with you since 2016. Looking in the mirror with these words on my tongue, I've come to this conclusion: we don't get along. Saving myself from myself is a job. Someone's gotta do it.
Yeah, I think that's like, to me, this just, it feels like a cool track that you've made and then you just put a vocal on top of. That's kind of that's what it sounds like. And whether that's the case or not, that's how it comes across to me. Yeah, I think that's pretty much, that's the best advice I can give you, is to make the vocals in the track more aware of each other. Create some sort of no, because this is the problem. I was gonna go back and start where I left off, but I can't tell where I left off, because that's the thing with this track, is it just chugs along both with the vocals and the track.
You know where to find me at. Place where they don't dare speak good thing. Make-out session, oh, am I late?
And it's not gonna, like, I don't think it's going to affect my advice,
We don't get along. Saving myself from myself is a job.
because I can never tell where I'm at in the song. The second drop is different, I promise. Yeah, like I can't navigate. I can't tell at any point where I am in the track.
We don't get along. Looking in the mirror with these words on my tongue, I've come to this conclusion: we talk.
It's a cool track. It's just I just don't know where I'm at. The vocals just kind of go. They need to be used a bit more strategically, almost as if, even though we know that Juice WRLD did not write for this track, but that the track was written for the Juice WRLD vocals, just so it feels more like a intentional, you know, collaboration, even if it was, you know, Juice WRLD was unaware of it at the time, I'm sure. But maybe now, if you can tweak it in a way and it blows up, you and Juice WRLD will become buddies and write music all the time. I don't know. I don't guarantee that. Get up to but yeah, it's a cool track, dude. Like this is my favorite song of yours, but it is also, that I've heard, but it is also maybe the most vague in terms of arrangement. And I think it's mostly because the vocals, they just keep going and going and going and going and going. And I never know where I'm at in the track. All right. Thank you. Let's listen to MXNT, Maxent. So is that minimum? Is that the same as minimum? Maxent? Maxentum? Anyway, that was dumb. Let's listen.
If it's not you, do you ever think of me? Do you ever think?
Thank you, Raham. I forgot. Mixing it. Oh, mixing it. Okay. What would that sound like if? Okay, check this out. This chop. Dap, 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 dap. What if when it drops, the reverb goes to 0? And maybe you automate the, you know, like at the end of every other bar, the reverb automates up right towards the end and cuts down to nothing again. I think that would be sick. Because I like this beat and I like the da ba ba da ba, but it's kind of like it's what's the word? Sporadic? No, maybe no. When it's syncopated, it's very kind of hop ba da da like. And I think the reverb blends that out a little bit too much. And just for me personally, I kind of like artificially dry sounding stuff. I think it sounds cool, but that's my personal preference. It seemed empty. Okay, so you did try that. My other thought is that arrangement-wise, it's kind of if you look at this in terms of like tension or energy. So we got this first part. I don't know. I guess what I'll say is I did not after hearing the first 5 seconds of the song right here, this intro bit. My hopes were not high, and I was pleasantly surprised when the track is much better than I expected it to sound after this intro. It just doesn't do it for me. Like, I don't think it's a good move. If let's put it this way, if this song came on my Spotify and it had this, instant skip. I would skip this in a fucking millisecond. But if it was this, okay, so now we're picking up pace, right? So we have this intro, we have a bit of a build, but then we kind of have a breakdown, but not really much changed. All you did was take the drums out, right? I was almost expecting like a verse to come in with vocals that aren't affected. Are these your vocals, or are these like a vocal that you got somewhere? Okay. Let me just do this. I don't think that part is really doing anything, you know? Like, all it is the same as the part before it, but just with no drums. So I feel like that's better. I don't know what the point of that other section that I cut out was. You know what I mean? Okay, let's keep going. I think it's that sound, that pyong, pyong, like the pitch envelope, like plucky thing. It just sounds not good to me. I don't like it. Yeah, I agree with Raham. I think this has a lot of potential. I think the vocal is okay. I'm typically not a big fan of super effecty vocals the whole time. It's one thing if you're using them in like a section as an accent or as like a cool little thing, but when we have vocals for this long that are like that effecty, they just kind of get on my they kind of bother me a little bit. But it's a cool track. Like I do think that this track has lots of potential. But yeah, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I don't know if that's helpful or not. I think that the arrangement is a pretty big no-brainer to get rid of that section. But it's a good start. It's got some feeling to it, you know, and I think it'll have feeling even without. I don't think the vocals they're not necessarily what's giving it the feel.
This is not you.
I like the chord progression. I like the drop. As soon as the vocals is a small part, and then when the drums kick in, I have another vocal switch up and then bring it into the back of the build portion. Maybe. I mean, my gut reaction is to be like, well, are those two vocals related in any way? Should they be in the same song? Is that gonna work? Is it not gonna work? I don't know without hearing it, obviously. But I think the strengths here are the chords. The drop with the cut up vocal thing is cool. And just the general vibe. The weakness is that pew pew sound that I don't like. The arrangement, or do what you said, just cut the build portion. Yeah, I would do it this way. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's almost too early on for me to really give you a solid direction. I just hope that me giving you my thoughts as I was listening helps in some way. Okay, that's what I got for you. We got Kadia for the last one. Now is not the time for love songs. Oh, is this an angry song by Kadia? Is it Screamo? Okay, let's have a listen. Okay, right off the bat, kick drum with reverb is rarely a good choice unless you're going for kind of like an 80s kind of synthwavy kind of thing. But like the kind of 909 kick with the reverb, I think is not. I don't know. I find it kind of sounds a bit cheesy or something.
Static on the line, communications died, dust in the sky. Don't you know where it war? Chaos in the streets, water we can't drink. Decency is breached, like our hope for something more. Can't catch a breath, can't catch a break. I'm not a marionette, here to entertain. Now
Okay, before we get there. So, vocals sound great. The performance and the pitch and all that, and the actual vocal is great, but the vocal is very buried and almost like muffly or something. Like it's missing some top end. There's the panning is a little off-putting on like there's like a finger snap, like almost like in place of a clap or a snare. And I feel like you need to treat those as if they are snares or claps and put them in the middle, because it would kind of be like playing a drum set, but like the snare is way over here. So every time you hear that snare that hits every single time, it's way over to one side. So like kick and snare and clap and snaps, those should always be at least centered. They could be wide, they could have some stereo width, but they should always be kind of centered. So I would good old right snare. Yeah. So I would fix that. I would also take, you kind of have like a few different top drums. Like you have some different hi-hats. They are,
can't catch a breath.
I like the glitchy stuff too.
Can't catch a breath, can't catch a break. I'm not.
I like the rhythm that's happening, but they feel very dislodged from each other, disconnected. I don't know why I thought of dislodged before disconnected. But anyway, they sound disconnected from each other. They're kind of very syncopated, which makes it a bit challenging to make it feel like a cohesive groove, because you kind of have almost, they're not random, but they're feeling a little random because of the syncopation of them, right? And some of them are like way over left, some of them are way over right, some they have different like reverbs on them and stuff like that. I would take your top drums, meaning your hats and your percussions, your shakers, all of that stuff that's kind of like the rhythm backbone, and I would treat it as a whole. So I would maybe, even if you have some, 6 or 7 tracks of these things, maybe send it into a bus, maybe then affect that bus together, maybe compress them together a little bit so that they get a little bit of interaction between the different sounds, and they're a little bit closer in volume to each other. And that way, when you put, say, if you want to put some reverb, I think this, generally speaking, this track is a little heavy on the reverb on everything, except the vocals don't sound overly reverbed, but everything else feels a bit wet to me. I would, if you took all of your percussion stuff, you put it to a bus, you EQ'd it a little bit to get the sound right, you compressed it a little bit to get the dynamics right, and then you put some reverb on it, all of a sudden, all of those elements are going to get tied together because they are sharing a bus. They're going into a bus. They're interacting with each other when they hit the compressor. And that will glue them together a little bit.
More now. Now is not the time for love songs, Now is not the time.
Yeah, like the vocals are great. The vocals are always great, though. I mean, like, come on. The vocals are definitely the strength here. When it comes to this,
Now is not the time for love.
so I think your kick drum, you know how your kick drum's like doom, doom, doom. It's almost like a tom with the tail on it.
Now is
So the reason why your bass area is kind of wonky is because you've got this long kick drum tailing going doom, 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 and then you have a bass that's sustaining over top of that, and it's the interaction between the two bass notes that are not the same, because obviously the kick drum is just going doom, it's trailing off, and your bass is playing a solid note. Every time your kick hits, the bass kind of gets out of sorts.
now is not the time for love songs.
Also, the fact that like that hi-hat that's very present in the mix is panned quite heavily, that also is a bit off-putting. I find like if there's really present elements, they don't need to be centered. They don't even need to be in like balanced. Well, they need to be balanced by something else. So if you have a hi-hat that's playing very often, maybe it's playing 16th notes and it sounds a certain way and it's panned super left, you should probably have another hi-hat that sounds kind of similar, playing the same kind of pattern on the right, because otherwise it makes me feel like I'm like slowly rotating in a circle.
Now is not the time for love songs.
But like the track, and that's funny, Singularity. And I did see your message on Discord. I just have not had the chance to even think about replying. Oh, my face is frozen. What's going on? Hold on. Did I fix it? There we go. I'm back. Yeah. Vocals, chords, the music part of this is great.
Now is not the time for love songs. Plastic on the coast, the poison's in the dose. The world has seen its ghost, staring through an open door. They cover up our eyes. It's truth that they despise.
This part is sick. I like this part the best so far. I feel like the sounds, there's no like pokey sounds that are poking above the rest. But again, the kick drum, your kick drum being long like that is going to cause issues because, you know, especially because it doesn't really sound like there's much side chaining, if any at all. But the problem is that if this is your, you know, this is your bass. Okay. And then this is kind of like your kick pattern, right? So the problem is that anytime these two are getting added together, there's going to be fuckery happening. And because your kick drum is so long, there's only really small moments where the bass, the note cuts through clearly on the bass, because the rest of the time it's getting all fucked with because your kick drum is interacting with it down in the bottom end. So I don't think your kick drum needs to be that long, first of all. So if you shortened it, so say you made it, you know, this long instead, and maybe it trails down. Oh, okay. Now I'm using a pencil. So now we have more time where the bass can exist in its full glory. The other thing is to, let's see, do a little side chaining, right? And the side chaining works really well with shorter kicks because the side chain doesn't have to be that long. It can just be the length of the kick, or even maybe a little shorter, because if you have a little bit of interaction, who cares? But in your track right now, it's, especially because like if you listen to the kick pattern, it's not just 4 to the floor, it's dun, 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 dun. So there's kicks close to each other, and those long kick samples, you can actually see them here. Like your kick basically goes about that long, right? So when you think about it, your bass only has this little section to live in. Bottom, yeah. But if you're listening to the bottom end and you're wondering why it's kind of messy, that's why. You've got this long kick, which probably has reverb on it still. I don't know if the reverb, it might only be reverbing the high frequencies, which it should be at the very least. But you've got this long kick, and it's interacting with your bass quite often, causing it to be a muddy kind of blah, 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 blah. Like it's not like a pure bass tone.
They cover up our eyes. It's truth that they despise. Succumbing to their lies. We have always been at war. Can't catch a breath, can't catch a break. We're just marionettes dancing on our graves. No.
Also, there's no cymbals. So like there's like this part was sick. But then when it comes back into the chorus, it's a little anticlimactic because you would expect, if you think about a band playing it, there's going to be like a psh, like a crash cymbal that happens, but there isn't. So it kind of, it's a little confusing because I'm like, oh, I thought this was supposed to be like the big moment, but there's no crash. And whether people think those words to themselves or they're just like, why didn't that hit hard, you know?
No, it's not the time for love songs, for love songs. No, it's not the time.
Like what? I'll just pick the first crash I find. Probably just forgot. That's funny.
No,
Okay, that's too loud, obviously.
no, no, it's not the time for love songs, for love songs. No, it's not the time for love songs, for love songs.
This part is sick. So like there's, I feel like you are spreading your cool elements a little too thin. Like that part is fucking sick. This synth thing is dope. Dude, the fucking harmony, that caught me off guard. This part is so sick. The harmonies on this part is just like incredibly amazing. This is a good example of like the song is fucking solid and the production is what needs the work. But that is such a better place than having great production and not knowing how to write a song. You know, writing the song is the most important part. The production is just there to get the song across to the listener. But the song here is fucking sick. The production, I've already mentioned some things. Another thing I was thinking was your panning. It comes down to the panning. A lot of it anyway. There's things that are just kind of they just kind of feel discreetly panned. They're just like, here's this sound, it's 47% to the right. Here's this sound, it's 39% to the left. It's almost like God, I can't think of a good analogy for this one, but yeah, it's almost like back in like the 60s or 70s when like stereo was a new thing, and you'll get I think the Beatles had some songs where like all of the drums, 100% of the drums were on the left side, and then 100% of the vocals were on the right side, and they're like, that's cool, but it's kind of weird to listen to. Like, it's neat and it's interesting. And I understand that the stereo is challenging for you. But I think that you are definitely making some good strides in that territory. I just think it's like when a worm digs a really cool hole, worm size would go first and make the worm hold the mansion. Dude, I'm not following the logic with that at all. I'm sure it made sense to you, but it did not make sense to me, which is probably how you feel about most of the shit that I say. Anyway, yeah, I kind of feel like it's like if you picture the stage analogy, instead of the stage being filled out strategically with actors and actresses and all the props and everything, it's just like there's like bundles of people here and bundles of people there. And then there's 17 chairs stacked vertically, you know, in the back. Like, it doesn't feel, it feels very discreet. I don't know. That's the best way I can put it. But
Dancing on a grave. No, it's not.
I think maybe something that could help is going for stereo without, because like when I write a song, I very, very rarely will grab the panning knob and pan it. Like, I use this pan, and not to say that I do things right. I haven't even written a song in like 6 months, so probably more now. Anyway, but to give you an example, I very rarely move this panning knob side to side. You know, I usually work more with adding width in general. And then in some situations, maybe panning stuff left or right, but it's not a very commonly used tool in my arsenal. Most of the time I'm using stuff like room reverb or unison or detuning and stuff like that to push stuff kind of symmetrically out, not discreetly to the right side for you and to the left side for you. Sometimes I do, but I'm just not very often do I do it that way. So I think that sending all of your production stuff all of your percussion into a single bus. I can't remember which DAW you use, but they all do it. You send it into a bus, you compress them a little bit, you know, so that if there's a hi-hat that's louder than another one, it brings it down. And arbitrary. Yeah, that's a good word for it. Maybe. But I don't know, because it does sound intentional. It sounds like she's intending to place things in the stereo field, but maybe the placement is a little arbitrary. Anyway, those are a bunch of my thoughts. I think the song is great, and I especially love when it got to this. When this happened, I was like goosebumps.
Now is the time for love songs, for love songs.
It kind of, you know what it reminds me of? when the harmonies kick in on this.
Make it part of it. In old New York. And if I can make it there, New York, New York.
I don't know. There's a moment, none of what I've just played was my example, but there's a moment in that song where they hit like this chord and it's just like it feels so complete and warm and like a big hug. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Glad you submitted to. Here's me. I love you. I hope you have a good weekend, and I will see you next week. And keep working on your stuff. You guys are doing great. I hopefully will start writing music soon too. I just offloaded some of my workload from my electronic stuff to a factory to make my PCBs a little more easy for me to assemble. So I'm hoping to buy back some of my time and be able to make music again because it's been way too long. Okay, that's it. Bye.